Let us withdraw our attention from the world, all our experiences of the past. Till last second, even this second is gone. So all past experiences I let go, only keeping the learnings with me. I let go all future anxieties, worries. I let go all present tensions and confusions and focus on my body, using body as a tool to withdraw the attention from the world. Let us relax our head. Let us relax our face, shoulders, chest, back. Let us relax our hands, stomach. Let us relax our groin, buttock, thighs, knees. Let us relax our calf muscles, shin, ankle, feet. The body is completely healed and relaxed. When the body is healed and relaxed, it doesn't call for any attention. Scanning the body by the mind is a very important exercise to withdraw the mind from the world and also to keep the body healthy. Let us focus and bring the attention on the breath, observing the inhalation, exhalation. Importantly, we cannot observe the breath. We can only observe the sensation the breath creates inside the nostril. So focusing entire attention on the breath where it touches the nostril while exhaling and exhaling. That is a point we can observe. This practice is very, very important to make the mind subtle, to hold the attention on that particular point. Mind becomes pure, comes in the present moment. And when the mind is completely in the present moment, there is a different experience happens where the knower also dissolves in that present moment. There is only present moment. Let us withdraw the attention from the breath and observe the mind, the emotions, the feelings, what kind of emotions I experience throughout the day, what emotions are repetitive, what kind of emotions are working for me in my progress, what kind of emotions are working against me. Let us withdraw our mind from just observing is important without judging. Let us withdraw the attention from the mind, emotions to the thoughts, the intellect. Whose thoughts are coming regularly in my mind? Very important observation. Which kind of thoughts are repetitive? Which kind of thoughts are worldly thoughts? There are 4 types of thoughts. Positive thoughts which takes us towards our goal. Wasteful thoughts which are basically about present, past and future. Negative thoughts takes us away from the goal, and duty thoughts, what is to be done. So there are 4 categories of thoughts. So I observe which kind of thoughts predominantly come in my mind. Are they positive? Are they related to what is the duty this moment, or wasteful thoughts and negative thoughts? I can categorize them. Let us withdraw the mind from the thoughts and ask the question, who is the observer of these thoughts? And the answer will come as I am observing. And then we have to introduce the question, who am I? So now the observer is observed. Who am I? So when we ask that question, no answer comes and no answer will come. Now let us become aware that I know that I am. That is our regular experience. So the knower of the I am has to be prior to I am. And that is what is God, pure consciousness, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Satchitananda, whatever we are seeking. In 13th chapter, what we are doing, that is the Pramata number 1, Kshetrajna number 1, and this I, Kshetrajna number 2. The I notion is the reflection, illusion, neither belonging to body, mind, intellect, neither belonging to Atma. So let us invoke Guru Parampara's blessings and Lord's grace to keep us on this path. The more the mind is purified, the more the intellect is clear. I will be able to hold on my attention on I am and go beyond. So let us chant loudly. Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत् सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्।
Hari Om. Thank you, Vidya. So we are doing Praman Vichar. That is the valid means of knowledge. And we have learned following things, that for any knowledge or experience, today Gayatri has asked a very interesting question that shows she has been thinking about it, and Vidya has answered about that question. So this kind of thinking is important, and application in our day-to-day life before we apply this Praman Vichar to God and self. So now we are going to take those examples. That for any knowledge to happen, three things must come together: the knower, the knowing means, and the known object. Same thing we can say that for any experience to happen, three things must come together: experiencer, experiencing, and experienced. In Gurudev's words, you will find experiencer, experiencing, and ada, D, ed. And then we also very interestingly learned that what we call as knowledge, or when I say that I know it, that means there has to be, or I experience something, that means there has to be a thought formation. Without vritti, without thought, there cannot be any knowledge. But let us take what Gayatri asked, that set me also thinking, because, this is a very different question about voluntary, involuntary, which is a new term, voluntary experience and involuntary experience. So then I was thinking about it, that what about deep sleep experience? Is it voluntary or is it involuntary? So now let us apply this in for deep sleep. So now as we are coming to Anuman Praman, deep sleep is a Anuman. Because after getting up, I know that I had slept. So it is an inference. Number one, very important one, because I am not aware of myself that I am sleeping. Like suppose a person is sleeping and you ask, are you sleeping? If the person says yes, that means the person is not sleeping. But in the deep sleep, let us apply this principle that made this thought of involuntary experience made me thinking. So the I is there, but that I is in a very subtle form. So we are not able to know while in deep sleep that I am sleeping. But after getting up, I say that I slept well. So the same I which is there in the waking state, the dream state, the same I is continuing, because Gurudev has given one mantra and we should write down when we discuss this subtle topics, because these are all subtle topics when we come to deep sleep. Sushupti Avastha is a subtle topic. In Mandukya Upanishad only very few Upanishad discusses about Sushupti Avastha, because it is closest to our Atma Darshan, very close. So the rememberer and the experiencer has to be same entity. That is a Siddhanta. So in the deep sleep, the I is the Pramata And absence of the waking state is the prameya, that is known because I experience absence. But what is the praman there? The praman is the Anuman praman. So there is one small vritti there, that is, I do not know. I don't know anything. That vritti is there, and that is called as ignorance, or I'm ignorant about something. So involuntary also happens in the deep sleep, because I seeking sleep, but that experience may is involuntary. It is just happening just like that. Possible, that we have to think, because these are new terminology, not in our Vedanta. Voluntary, involuntary, as such. And as Vidya has given example, most of our experiences we are seeking, or we are not seeking, that also is our experience. I don't want this to happen, but that happens. I don't want this person to talk like this, but it happens. That is also voluntary. Because what I want and what I do not want are same thing. So then we saw pratyaksha pramana. For experience to happen, that there has to be, first of all, connection between the object to senses, that is nirvikalpa. No thought has formed, but at least the rays have come in my eyes, the sound has come in my ears. So first of all, the sound comes, and then sound goes to the brain, and then I have a cognition, and then there is a thought formation. So that is savikalpa pratyaksha we saw. Why we are discussing this? Because we also had one siddhanta mentioned there, that we are all having nirvikalpa pratyaksha anubhav of Atma. But savikalpa is not there. I am Atma, that thought is not coming, that recognition is not coming. And for that, I have to constantly do Brahma Vichara, what Tapan Maharaj told Gurudev, that you go on yatra for 1 year and do Brahma Chintan continuously. Because right now, the strong thought what I have, which is so deep rooted, which I don't have to make any efforts, that I am a body, I am this body. And then second thought, I am this woman, I am this man, my age is this. So it is very strong. If you listen to Guruji nowadays, he says that this is very strong. My body consciousness, my body association is very strong. And that is the ignorance. And it is not very easy to let go that body conscious, because it is very deep rooted. Aneka janma samprapta karma bandha vidayam. So how will it go? Constantly I have to say that my real nature is this. I am not the body, I am not the mind. That is one way. Another way is to do japa of God, or do chintan of Bhagwan. So there are various methods, that I am instrument of God. But body consciousness, I am this body, is the main ignorance. So we also saw last time the distinction between pratyaksha and aparoksha. One of the, I think we have gone through what the notes Vidya has said, many differences. One main difference is to remember all the time, in pratyaksha there has to be two. The knower and known is separate, and in aparoksha it is one. That is one of the main difference we have to remember, that in aparoksha, the knower, known, knowing becomes one. So there is oneness. But I am aware of myself. That is very important. This chair is not aware of itself. But I am aware of myself. I alone am bliss. In Nirvana Chatkam, when Adi Shankaracharya says Shivoham, Shivoham, that means I alone am bliss. There is only one. That consciousness is only one, and I am aware of it. That is a very important factor. It is not insentient, because suddenly we will find that it is like space. So now, and later on we saw the post experience. What happens? Anumana, post perception. After perception, we saw Anumana. So there was a homework given. So Nishaji has given me some homeworks, but I hope all of you have done the homework of 2, which is very important in our day-to-day life also. The homework was that Anumana, because inference happens without our knowledge, just out of habit, and it happens so fast. All these things what we are dissecting about nirvikalpa, savikalpa, this happens so fast that we are not able to recognize. Only when we know this, slowly, slowly, we'll be able to see, okay, now the light has come from the laptop in my eyes, and now I'm having a cognition, and then I'm recognition. As I start focusing more and more, it will become very clear to us. So two pointers we saw in Anumana Pramana. One is Vyapti, that is Sahachara Darshan, that is association. And the second is Linga, that is indicator. Now, how we can apply this in our day-to-day life? So far, Nisha ji has sent me a couple of them, like perfume and fragrance. So suppose you enter the room and there is a rose fragrance, and you will ask, oh, is there a rose agarbatti you have put? Or have you put, rose fragrance? So this is a very day-to-day example, but my understanding becomes very clear that this has to go together. Now, very important, this going together is very important point. And the second is indicator. Like suppose we take simple example from those who are listening to Anumana Praman and Praman Vichar. From today, we must drop judgments about people. Why? That judgment about a person, that this person is this person is good or bad, this is an inference. Now we are understanding it is an inference. Now, for inference to happen, the Vyapti must be established, association. Now you say that, no, I saw this person, having one cigarette. So I have inferred that this person is a smoker. Now that is not correct, Vyapti, because only once I saw, but I have not seen that person many times. But when I went to that person, nearby that person, I smelled cigarette smoke smell. So that is an indicator, linga. So now this is a very gross thing, but then how we conclude about people and so fast, and we are so strong, and that our belief system declares that this person is idiot. This person I don't like, because, but then we have to now apply this, that how many times I have seen this guna with this person, because that has to be Vyapti. And it will not stand the logic, because that guna is not there with that person when that person goes to deep sleep. Like when one person went to Gurudev and told, Gurudev, I am short tempered. Please give me a tip to remove. He told, okay, show me the temper. Show me. No, Gurudev, before you, how can I show temper? When we go to Gurudev and Guruji, we all namaskar and respect and love. So then he told that if you are not able to show right now, that means that is not your real nature. It comes and goes. So there is no Vyapti there. So now when we start applying this in our day-to-day life, so my invitation to all, before we apply it to Brahma, God, self, which we are going to take up, we have to practice in our day-to-day life, and it will help us quite a bit. That this is an indicator. This is an indicator of this person. But Vyapti, I must see, to declare, to have an inference about this person. So easily we talk to another person and say that this person is like this. This person is like this, because he displayed these characteristics. How many times? Once when I went to his house, he was doing like this, Or once he said that I like this, so I declared that he's got a habit of drinking, smoking, eating, restaurant, whatever. So now this Vyapti and Linga, this I have to master. And then we will be able to apply this to Brahma, self, when we go to higher text, how they apply there. So with that background, we will see what are, now very important point is coming, that when we infer, there has to be 5 steps met, 5 conditions, then only the inference is right. If the 5 steps are not there, then the inference is faulty. That way. So now what are the 5 steps? First step, this is very important. First step in Anumana Pramana, in inference, is statement of inference. So this is very, very important. Those who are learning Vedanta for at least 10 years or 5 years or 2 years. This must become our habit, how Lord Krishna is doing, how Adi Shankaracharya does, First of all, whatever I am going to talk, I must declare what is the main Siddhanta, what I am talking. Because after 15 minutes, nobody should ask, okay, but what are you saying? I didn't understand what is a Siddhanta. No, this happened, that happened, there I went, it was not good, it was good. But tell me, if you went to that place, is it good or bad? What is the topic? So first I must talk, okay, this movie is bad, Siddhanta ho gaya. Then you go to further things. So now very important topic. This will improve our communication, our clarity, because two things are required for knowing God. One is purity of mind, clarity of intellect. Second is there has to be some logic. How do you know? How are you saying that? No, I felt it, but it is not a logic. No, I think it is good. What is a logic? For logic means what? Now very important. Logic means two things: association and indicator. Then example, give an example to prove. These three are the main points. Actually, in many texts, they only take these three. Other two are basically some type of similarity to first, third or second. The fourth is application of example to proposition. That is called as Upanayan. And conclusion in alignment with proposition, or it is called as a Nigaman. Nigaman is the conclusion. So we prove it. Now, I'm just mentioning these terms just for reference, because as we will not take again and again, those who are interested in reading philosophy, logic, Nyaya philosophy has lot of discussions on this. Those who are interested. So there are 5 terms. Minor term is Paksha, Sadhya is major term, Hetu is reason, Vyapti is association, 4 terms. So now you might think, what is this? But let us take example to simplify. We'll take 2 examples. First example, classic example, fire and smoke. So I see smoke coming out of a building just few days before it happened in our own complex. So I inferred that there is fire in the building. This happens very common, where we can see some smoke. Depending upon the quantity of smoke, I will infer that how big the fire would be. If it is agarbatti smoke, I will not call a fire brigade. So that is the pratijna. So now very important one. Seeing the smoke, I infer that there is fire. Fire is not seen, smoke is seen. So seeing the world, I have to infer there is God. That is where we go. Because there are many people who will say, okay, what is the proof? Come to Praman Vichar. We will give you so much logic that you will forget what is logic. It is so much in depth. Seeing something, we are inferring something else what is not seen. So now this has to be proved by logic. So how the logic goes? I am seeing smoke. Smoke is pratyaksha praman. Now this smoke is associated with fire as seen in previous experiences. I have seen wherever there was fire in the crackers, the smoke came. Wherever there was fire in the gas, nowadays the gas doesn't have smoke. But when you have earlier, all those things, chulhas were there, this to smoke used to come. So earlier, I must have seen the association of these two. Or at least I know that these two go together. This cannot stand, it cannot stand alone. So here, there has to be 2 things which is called as a Sahachar Darshan, association. Now, what is a linga or indicator? Linga indicator, we can heat, we can see some black spots. Suddenly, we can see the black window. Only the smoke is coming from some window, suppose we see somewhere, but there is no black stains anywhere. Then we might say, no, that is not the fire, which is very dangerous. The smell will come, the blackishness will be there. So these are indicators, linga, indicators. But association is Fire and smoke. Two things will always be together. What is a drishtanta? When the fire is lit, there is smoke. Firecrackers, the chulha at home, then there is cigarette. Suppose you burn it, then there will be smoke. So you can think of many examples where you have seen fire and then the smoke comes out. So that is the drishtanta, proof that I have seen this earlier, so this is there. So some person sees, earlier in our scriptures it is given, one person sees the smoke on a mountain, and then conclusion is that there is fire. And if you come to Kolad, this I see every time when I go to Kolad and remember this example, because in summers there is that jungle fire happens there, forest fire. And then suddenly when we see smoke on a mountain which is far away, we have to conclude that there is fire, because we can see the fire, and then at night we can see the fire itself. Otherwise, fire is not seen. We can see the entire smoke. So applying this example to inference, I am convinced that smoke is the cause of fire. And then I conclude that if there is smoke coming out of this window in the building, the cause of that would be fire. And depending upon the quantity of the fire, I will inform somebody, or I will inform the fire brigade that there is some danger. So this is an example of fire and smoke. So in the above example, building is the paksha, minor. Fire is the sadhya, that is to be proven, major one. Smoke is the hetu, logic, And the association of smoke and fire is a vyapti. Those who are interested in the technical thing, this is how earlier people used to argue. And there used to be arguments on Brahma, God. And that is how Shankaracharya used to use this logic to defeat world over. All over India, he used to go and then have Vad Vivad. So now let us take our example, which we want to prove in Vedanta. I am not the body. So now the Siddhanta, what we are taking is, body is not the self. This is our Siddhanta, we declare. So first of all, whenever we talk in Vedanta, first of all, we say, what is the Siddhanta you are talking? There has to be some conclusion, and we start from the conclusion and then prove it. So what is the logic? Body is perceived. I can see the body, I can perceive the body, but I cannot see the self. And then we can take the same thing applicable to world and God. Body is the object which is perceived. The perceiver and the perceived cannot be same. So the perceiver is different than the perceived. The observer has to be different than the observed. The witnesser has to be different than the witnessed. The knower has to be different than the known. The experiencer has to be different than the experienced. So this is a logic which is subject is different than object. But subject is not seen. That doesn't mean that subject is not there. When we cannot see the fire, but we conclude that fire is there. So many people say, no, show me God. Show me God, then I will believe. But then we have to take them to Praman Vichar that it is not possible, because seeing one thing, I am concluding about other thing as we do in day-to-day life. Another logic is that the dress is different than the body. So I am not the dress. Application, just as the body is wearing a dress and therefore it is different than the dress, similarly, the body is different than the self and it is only a kosha, layer. What is the conclusion? Body is not the self. So this is how we prove it. So anybody asks you, prove me whether God is there, you tell them, okay, you first learn Praman Vichar, then it will be systematically, you can know by logic. Example, in this example, self is the paksha, major one. Body is the sadhya. Difference between perceive and perceived is the hetu. And self and the association between body and self is the vyapti. Wherever there is body, there will be self. But wherever there is self, there may not be the body. But wherever there is body, there will be self. Because body is inert, self is sentient. So there is this association will go together. Wherever we see a living body, there will be sentiency. And that's the reason when we see a dead body, the sentiency has left that particular body. So we call that body as dead body. So the self is proven. The medium of that body, because of which the body was enlivening, that medium has gone out of that body when a person dies. So this is how we use the inference. Now, this is a classic logic where this happens so very fast in our mind about people, situations, and we just conclude this is bad, this is good, this is right, this is wrong, this is like this is not like this without applying these principles. Suppose we do not apply these principles properly, then we come to one fault what we normally do, which is called as Swa Anuman and Para Anuman. This is very, very important because normally we like to have a tendency to generalize. Swartha Anuman and Parartha Anuman. What is Swartha Anuman? Swartha Anuman means my experience. On my experience, I conclude. That conclusion is right, but that conclusion is right only for me. Like for example, suppose I eat curd. Classic example. Suppose I eat curds, then I I get cough or asthma type. But that is an inference drawn which is right. Like of late, I have given up tea. Not that because I have had vairagya. Because when I went to doctor, I diagnosed there are 3 to 4 items which are not suiting my constitution. Like suppose I eat mirchi, Andhra Pradesh, there is a small mirchi comes, chili. Suppose I eat 2 of them here. Tomorrow morning, the effect will be seen. There will be burning sensation throughout and there will be some problem in the morning. But that is Swartha Anuman for me. If I go to Andhra Pradesh, people eat 1 bowl of that mirchi. But what I declare to the world that eating curds is bad. Suppose I go in the rain and I get cold once. I will declare to the entire universe and my children and grandchildren, no, 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 don't go in the rains, you will get cold. Don't get wet, you will fall sick. Now this is Swarthanuman because there are people, they whole day they get wet, whole day they are in the waterfall, they play, nothing happens to them. So Swartha Anuma is an inference drawn internally to oneself that curd is not good for my health. My health, it is not good. But there are people who are eating tahir sadam morning, afternoon, evening. Nothing happens to them. There are people who are having coffee 7 times, 8 times a day. Nothing happens to them. I know there are people have coffee at 11 o'clock and then they go to sleep and then only they can go to sleep. Whereas some people say, like if I drink coffee after 6 o'clock, I will not be able to sleep properly. Very important. The inference, Parartha Anuman is inference drawn for others. Curd may not suit my constitution, but it cannot become inference for all. When Swartha Anuman is used as inference for generalization, then that inference is not correct. And this happens so very unconsciously, subconsciously by us. So spicy food is bad for health. Because it doesn't suit my constitution, I declare. And then when we go to restaurant, other person is eating, the person is enjoying, and I say, no, no, I don't like it. It is too spicy. I am saying before that person and before that food also. This is one lesson I've learned from Dr. Narayan. One day I was eating with him and chutney was spicy. He told, do not say that chutney is spicy before the chutney, because chutney also is, the chutney is there, no? No, 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 it is too spicy. I don't like it. But other person is liking and eating, no? Why to say that? Because everywhere God is there. The chutney also is listening that this person is saying, I'm not good. Chutney also says, you are also very bad person. Important. All 5 steps has to be followed when we are inferring for others. So if these 5 steps are not followed, then the inference will be false inference. Now we will see very interesting factor where last time we had taken examples. I would invite all of you to give examples now itself, whatever you think, right? So I will say one example. You can, Manisha, if you can unmute all, let them come back and say what examples we can, because this will clarify so many confusions what we have in life, and so many easily we conclude this person is like this person is like this. So the first thing, fallacy of deviation. Establishing conclusion by associating two things together. For example, last time what we had taken example, I'll tell you, my leg, when I was taking Praman Vichar, I remember because I had got calf muscle tear and I was on the bed for 3 months almost. And that is the time I prepared Praman Vichar, and that time we were taking class in person in Saraswati Vidyalaya or in the center, and all the people thought that I will not come to the class because I have got hurt. But I came, and that is what I think many of them told, that this is fallacy of deviation. No, I don't think the person will come to the class because I think he didn't like the class. And the person comes. Another example is that exit polls recently showed that NDA will get 400 seats, and everybody thought that NDA will get, but NDA got lesser. So the deviation happened. But then my association of two things, how I have associated by two things, no, today the rain was heavy, no, so I think there will be less people. But there are sometimes when heavy rains, the class was full. No, just because I don't want to go in heavy rains, I will conclude, no, I think people don't come out when there is heavy rains. People go. So any other examples you can think of this fallacy of deviation? There are 5 of them. And then we will understand that most of the time we are actually inferring wrong. Any other examples you can think in day-to-day life? So it is called as a Hetvabhasa.
If you Hari Om, if you visit ashram, you will become a Swamiji.
Ha. Correct. Very important one. Don't go to ashram and then you will become a monk. And now, as Gayatri has mentioned, I remember when Yukta Chaitanya, he used to come in the chick class what I used to take. And we were doing this chick class in ashram. So I used to go to ashram and take the chick class. And there are 5 or 7 of them. And one day after a few classes, he came and declared that I'm joining the Brahmachari course. And I still remember there's one girl who stays in Chembur, chick. She told, what are you saying? You're not happy? So my association is that you become a monk if you have a problem or you are happy. Or you are unhappy or there is some problem in your life. Iske liye, I saw Vedji coming to Acharya College and he was giving one lecture before students. And first thing how he started, I still remember, he said, you can see I am a monk, but I am a very young person, but I had no breakups. Don't think I had 4 breakups, so I become a monk. I was not a failure that I failed in engineering, so I became a monk. I had got a job. Don't think I was not getting a job. So, and this is what Gurudev also has experienced when he was traveling in train. You become a monk, so there was some problem. So this is concluding two things. How we can associate two things, we can never understand that so random things also will associate together. Very good, Gayatri. Anybody else, please think you can keep posting in the group, Praman Vichar, because these are all important pointers. Second,
I have allowed people to unmute.
you can unmute and just speak.
So
If we
another
get,
example. Okay.
go on.
Vidya, bolo.
If you get 90 plus percentage, then you should either become a doctor or an engineer.
So this is a fallacy of deviation. And if you don't get, then you are an unsuccessful person. And then I work in a company who has been last bencher, fallout, or college dropout, Bill Gates, and there are 100 IIMs and IITs are working. So fallacy of deviation.
There's that experience Sudha Murthy ji had shared that at the Heathrow airport earlier, not this, but when she was wearing sari and she was waiting, like she had a first class ticket, but because she was wearing sari and maybe a gajra and all, so the woman thought that she's that Behenji type. So she cannot afford to be in the first class. So they were commenting, ke, what is this? These people come and stand, like, though they have announced that they concluded that also maybe she doesn't understand English, Behenji type. So that is also one
So
example.
this is fallacy and deviation. Like there can be deviation, and this is so common. What Manisha has mentioned, that those people who wear sari and kajra are little orthodox and holy, and they are very God fearing. This kind of a deviation, this kind of association, some people look at that person is not very modern. So fallacy of contradiction. Second one, establishing conclusion opposite to thesis. For example, Modi is unpopular among the large gathering of people who had assembled to hear speech. So now these are contradictions. So there are people who give contradictory information and then infer something. But you are saying large gathering, and another saying is that Modi is unpopular. A very, very classic example, if you see opposition talking, that Modi is not very popular, but he had 200 meetings where there was a large gathering. Whenever he went to America, there were so many people had gathered there. So two contradictory things you are mentioning to prove something which will not work. It is fallacy of contradiction. Fallacy, you can see all and then think of examples where this example will be fitting. Establishing a conclusion without verifying facts. This happened just day before yesterday. I had gone to Mount Abu for some training, and the person who was going to come with me, he thought the flight is at 6:30 p.m. And earlier day, and I was telling him that we have to meet you come to my home at 3:30, but I didn't mention a.m. So he thought 3:30 p.m. and the flight went. So his ticket was gone, and then it was a big challenge for us. I'm calling him at 3 o'clock. He has not reached from Dombivli to Ghatkopar just day before yesterday. And I have also missed one flight where Manisha had booked the flight and I went at 5 p.m. The flight was actually 5 a.m. because when you write, because these flights write 17, 17, 13, 14, or, and then it was written somewhere in that. So when I went there, flight has gone 12 hours back. So not verifying facts. Very, very important. We can take hundreds of examples on this, that we don't verify the facts in Vedanta. We just see some WhatsApp is saying, some Swami is saying, somebody said somewhere without verifying in what context and what is the detailing. So many examples we can take on verifying facts, but we conclude. Fallacy of you are thinking about examples. After this, I want some examples. Establishing a conclusion only to be rebutted by somebody else. So how we conclude, my friend must be out of town since she was not answering my phone. But when I go to that particular town, I see that friend sitting in a restaurant talking, and then I realize that just because that phone was ringing and the person didn't pick up, I concluded so many things. People conclude that the person would be busy. Some person would be thinking that the person has left that particular place. No, the person would be dead also. Like one person called up one person and the phone was not picked up and said, what happened to you? Then he wrote in a message there, today morning this person died. I am his friend. The person really believed that message. So anything we conclude just by seeing one evidence. And fallacy of counterbalance. When arguments with respect to Pramana are given from both the sides strongly, then we are not able to arrive to a particular influence. God is Sagun or Nirgun, or religions are fighting on this. This is a classic example where religions are fighting. For Islam and this thing, Christianity, God is not Sagun, it is Nirgun. But for some other, God is Sagun, for some God is Nirgun, for some both. We have taken many examples. I see a car or I see chappals, and then I conclude that this person would be there inside. But that chappal may be of somebody else. So anybody remembers any other examples we can take in either of things? And then we realize when we start taking these examples that how easily we infer, how easily we conclude, and how easily we believe. And that becomes our belief, and my belief drives my behavior.
Prasadji, I have one.
Yes, Dineshji.
Narendra Modi got separated from Yashoda Ben, and he was very successful. And Buddha got separated from his wife Rani Yashoda. He was very, very successful and useful for the mass. But whereas Krishna's mother, she didn't get separated from her husband.
So what is the conclusion?
No, it is not necessary. Somebody is Yashoda and his this thing that lady's husband should get separated.
So if you are separated, then you will be successful. This is a false fallacy in the inference. Only if you can realize only when you take sannyas. One can realize as a grihastha also.
Yes, Modi was grihastha, but he got separated.
Correct.
In Hariom Bhaiya, in Tamil there is a thing, if you sit under the palm tree and have even milk, they conclude that you are having what we get from palm tree, local.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, they say that.
So now see, we have to now see that if somebody is not coming to class, somebody is coming more to class, somebody is this thing, somebody is popular, somebody, so many things what we are thinking are basically false inferences just based on my swartha, Anuman, or these fallacies may be there of contradiction, deviation, non-establishment, rebuttal, counterbalance.
When you join an office, new office, and you're working for a manager and you said this person is very difficult to work with.
Correct.
So you're very, anxious, but then it turns out to be wrong.
Correct.
When you work, yeah.
So very right. This is where the main problem happens, that no, this person, be careful of this person. This person is a very cunning person. This person will cheat you. This person will not help you. And I become very careful. I start behaving accordingly, and my experience shows the other way, that this person is helping me. But anyhow, even if that person is not helping me, but that cannot become a generalization because he is a very helpful person at home. How do you know? We have not gone to his wife or husband, but person is very helpful, very nice, very kind. And the same person in other situation may be very cruel. So that is Swarthanuman, Pararthanuman. So we can get so many examples in this in day-to-day life. The point is that when we are inferring something, we have to follow the 5 principles of conclusion, logic, example, then Upanayan, proving that this example is having that association and indicator, and then matching it with the inference or the conclusion or the siddhanta what we want to prove. That is how earlier days arguments used to go on. When we hear that Adi Shankaracharya had many discussions on Vedanta, this is how it used to go. And both the parties were equal in that. And then the person who is having better logic, better drishtanta and conclude, then that they had this kind of acceptance that, okay, I lose or you win, etc. That broad-mindedness was there. And this is how the discussions or arguments must happen. Otherwise, we have seen earlier that no, I have no logic, no siddhanta, but no, I feel I don't want to give up my opinion. So very important, Anumana Pramana is the key of our understanding. This I must focus on more. So 2 are key, Pratyaksha Pramana and Anumana Pramana. Other things will be somewhere, you will find some synonyms to Anumana Pramana itself. So please think of examples of this Anumana Pramana, and in our day-to-day life, if I am able to destroy some of my faulty Anumana about people's situation, about my own life, that will be a application immediately. Yeah, my conclusion was wrong. Vansho Jivaloke, when Bhagwan's Ansha is there in all, how can I say that person is bad? That. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudat Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.